We create a new project. Previous class we learned the object class method. Today we can start exception handling. Now we can learn what is exception, how many types of exceptions are there, how to handle exception. Exception handling also very important topic. Everywhere, whenever we create any project, we need to handle exceptions. Now let's go and take example and see what is exception definition. Right click new, go to the class. Now how many types of exceptions are there? Now here, manager on class is we not created. So we'll get compile time error. Just now it is asking us to create the manager one class. See, whenever we write a code in the .java file, here manager one.java. Inside manager one.java, I am trying to create a manager one class object. Manager one class is not created, so we'll get the compile time error. The errors we can divide into two types. One is compile time error, and second one is runtime error. Now, what is compile time error? Whenever we write a code in .java file, if any syntactical error is there, if any statement is syntactically incorrect, so we can call that is a compile time error. Now, compiler JavaC command will compile each and every statement of manager1.java from top to bottom. Now this package is fine. Package declaration is correct. Package keyword we have, and after that we give the package name. Then we created a class, public class manager. Here we open bracket, close bracket for the class. This is also syntactically correct. Then we will go to the next line, main method. These are the main method. Main method is having public static void main. So this is also syntactically correct, this statement. After that, we are trying to create the object of manager one. Manager one class is not created in this manager.java. So we'll get the compile time error. This is a syntactical error. Now here, int I equal to 100. I'll take one variable, int I equal to 100. This is one syntactical error. Now I'll call SYSO of I. System out of internal of I. I is a non-static member. Non-static member, if you want to access the non-static member, we have to create object to the class. Then we can access the non-static variable of a manager class. So this is one syntactical error. Cannot make a static reference to the non-static field I. See, not only this, so many things. If you not declare any variable, if you try to access the variable, system out of internal of J. Now J is not there, so that is a syntactical error. That is a compile time error. Now let's go to the runtime errors. Compile time error, everybody can able to see, everybody can able to handle this. Because by seeing here only, compiler JavaScript command will compile and it will tell it is not syntactically correct, just make this syntax correct. So let's go to the runtime errors. I created object to the manager class, so I am able to use the m1.i. I can able to get system out of internal of m1.i. Now I'm able to read the I variable. Now here I want to m1.I divided by 10. If you divide with the 100 with the 10, we will get the output of 10. Now again m1.I divided by 0. If you want to divide with 0, the value is infinity. If you divide anything by 0, you will get infinity. So the compiler, you don't know what is the value of infinity. In this case, this will give runtime error. Now we can run and see what is the error for this. Now first we are printing the value is 100 we print. Then after that m1.I by 10 is 10 divided by 100. We will get the output of 10. Divided by 0, it will give the error. Arithmetic expression divided by 0 is not possible because this is infinity value. Now what is runtime error? Whenever we execute a program using the Java command, what it will do, it will go to the manager class. First it will check all static members in the class. All static members will load into the memory. If any static initialization block is there, after static members loading, static initialization block will execute. After static initialization block, then it will go and execute the main method, default executable method. Here we have a main method. Inside a main method, it will execute all the statements from top to bottom in the main method definition block. First, it will go and execute the manager m1 equal to new manager. Now object is created. When object is created, all the non-static members will load into the memory with the default values. And is there any initialization to the non-static members? It will go and initialize into the object. Now, whenever we access with the object reference m1.I, we will get the value of 100. You can access the object members using the object. Object members means variables and methods of a non-static of a class. Now here system.out.println of m1.I divided by 10. If you divide with any number, we will get the output as, after dividing in the mathematics, whatever output we will get the output as a 10 here. 100 divided by 10 equal to 10. If you want to divide anything by 0, in case in your code, that statement is abnormal statement. Divided by 0 will give infinity. Infinity in system.out.println, it won't understand what is infinity value. There is no limit for that. So we'll get the arithmetic exception. See, whenever we execute our .java file using Java command, when execution is happening from top to bottom in the class, in some statement, we'll get some abnormal condition. Due to abnormal condition, the execution of the code will stop there and it will throw the exception. After throwing exception, whatever statements are there after the abnormal condition statement, after this we don't have any code. If you have any other code after this abnormal condition, it won't execute. It will stop here only. Now here, I will put one statement. S5 S4. End of main method. Due to abnormal condition, it is stopping here. It won't execute the remaining portion of the main method. This is not executed. Now, what is runtime error? Now, what is the definition of runtime error? When program execution started in any .java file, program is executing in between somewhere. Due to a statement is producing abnormal condition. When our statement is producing abnormal condition, due to the abnormal condition, the program execution will stop executing here. Then it will return one error object. For every abnormal condition, there is one error already created in the Java JDK development. for this abnormal condition divided by 0, we have error is the arithmetic exception. This is also one class. Due to abnormal condition, one error object will create and it will throw the error object to the main method execution. So we'll get the output of the error object. Then after that error, abnormal condition, whatever statements are there in this definition block, it won't execute. The remaining portion of the program won't execute. Now this is one error. Let's go and create another program for checking any. You can see all abnormal, basic abnormal conditions. String array of 5. Of 0 equal to ABC. Now I try to access the array of 6. End of main. See, in array size is 5. Array of 0 we can assign. Array of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Up to 4 we can assign the values, we can read the values. But here I am trying to read the value of array of 6. This is the 7th element. Index will start from 0 to n. So this 6 means the size of the array should be the 7. So we'll get this is also an abnormal condition. See, the index is not there inside the array, string array. Then so we are able to access the 6th index. We are trying to access the 6th index. It will give array index of out of bounds exception. This is abnormal condition. When we get the abnormal condition, the Java, the execution of the Java command, it will create one exception object. It will return that exception object to the main method. So the main method will print the exception object. Exception in thread main. We have that exception. Then the size of the index is 6. It is telling. If you want to go and see which line we got error, if you click on that, it will go to the line number, it will show. If any abnormal condition is occurring, after the abnormal condition, whatever the execution statements are there, it won't execute, it will stop the program there. Now this is array index also out of bounds exception. Similarly, we want to access the element of array of 4. We can able to access because the size is 5, 0 to 4 we can access. 4 value is null. Now we have seen arithmetic and we have seen array index out of bounds exception. Now string s1 equal to new string of BBC. System.println 61 dot character at 6. Here inside the string we have only 3 characters, but we are trying to access the 6th character. So if you try to access the 6th character, the size is only 3, where it will get the 6th character. So we'll get the string out of bounds exception. String index out of bounds exception. Now if you see string index out of bounds exception is an abnormal condition. Due to this abnormal condition, it is not continuing the program execution, it is not printing up to end. This is one error. Try to access the 2nd character. String also it will start from the 0, 1, 2. the second character, second means the third character is C. We got the output as C. Now, string S2 equal to null. Why string S2? Simply I just declare S2 equal to null. I just assign the value as null. Now I try to access the S2. Try to access will get null as output. Now my manager one is null, so I am trying to print the M1. We'll see what is the output over here. We got the output as null. Prints an object and then terminates the line. This method calls first printed object. What is it? Basically, whenever if you have any object, if object is null, if you try to access that object, we should get a null pointer exception. But here it is printing the null. Okay, from maybe the new version of Java, they are printing the null also as a string. Now we have seen arithmetic exception and array index out of bounds exception, string index out of bounds exception. We have null pointer exception. So if we try to access the any object as a null, if we try to print that, we should get as a null pointer exception. But here it is printing as a null string. I don't know why it is printing as a null string. Yeah, okay. Now I have the S2 dot string. Now my S2 is null. I'm trying to call the toString method on S2. So we'll get the null pointer exception over here. See, from null object, if you try to access any methods of a null object, it is a null. It is not having any object. So we'll get the null pointer exception. These all are the exceptions we can see in when we develop any programs or projects. We have to see all these exceptions. We will get the null pointer exception. We have to handle these exceptions. Whenever we write a code, if you find any abnormal condition, now this is abnormal condition which is causing the null pointer exception. If you find any abnormal condition, remaining portion of the code won't execute. So we have a if you want to withdraw money from the ATM, we are just withdrawing money. The process is happening up to this. After that, at the end, in between, we'll get some abnormal condition. Some error will come, then it will stop executing here. It won't execute the remaining portion. So if you want to allow that after the abnormal condition came, if you want to skip that abnormal condition, if you want to proceed the next portion also, how to proceed? We have to handle this exception. If we handle this exception, we can go and proceed with the remaining portion of our code. If you find any abnormal condition in the first statement itself, even though if you get any error, we have to proceed with the remaining code. This code, if you want to proceed, then we have to handle that exception. Now we can see how to handle the exception. Now we have seen what is a compile time error, what is a runtime error. Runtime error means whenever we execute a code using Java command is finding some abnormal condition in execution of the code in between, somewhere in the code. So due to the abnormal condition, it will create one exception object. It will delegate that exception object to the main method calling statement in the memory. So it will just print that exception object in the memory. In the memory means the console. it will just print that exception object. After printing the exception object, whatever remaining portion of the code is there, it won't execute after the exception occurred. Now this is one simple statement of runtime error. Let's go and take another example. Then we have to see how the flow will go. When abnormal condition occurs, how the flow will go in the program execution. Now let's go and take one more example on the abnormal condition. Insert manager 2. I have 3 methods. First method is divide by 0, which is taking argument of Indian. Inside that divide by 0 method, I am just printing system out of n by 0. It is abnormal condition of arithmetic exception. Then I have created one method test1. Inside test1 method, I am just calling divided by 0 of 10. Inside main method, I have created object to the manager 2. Then I am calling the manager 2.test1. After that, I am printing end of main method. Now, when we call this, first main method will execute. Default executable method is main method. Inside the main method, we are creating object to the manager 2. After creating object, I am calling test1 method. Now, the execution of the code from main method, it will go to the test1 method to complete the execution of test1 method. After completion of test1 method execution, it will come back to main method. It will execute the remaining portion of main method. Now, cursor will go to the test1 method. Inside the test1 method, there is a calling statement to divided by 0 of 10. Now, this will go and the cursor will go to the divide by 0 method by passing argument as 10, as n equal to 10. Then it will execute the divide by 0 method first. Once the divide by 0 method is completed, then it will come to test1 method. If anything is pending in the test1 method after this calling statement, it will execute that. So for testing purpose, we will put this test1 ended. Divide by 0 ended. For every method, I am putting the end statement. Divide by 0 ended, test1 ended, end of the main method. Now, again, I will come and I will explain how the execution will happen. Whenever manager 2, Java manager 2 call from the terminal. Similarly, Eclipse also, if you go and run this, Eclipse also will call Java manager 2 internally, inside the background of Eclipse. Now, when Java command will call for manager 2, we have all non-static methods. So, default executable method is main method. Main method will execute first. Inside the main method, first statement is creating object to manager 2. Object is created. Inside object, we don't have any variables. We have only methods. 2 non-static methods. Both non-static methods will load into the memory in the object. When we want to access that methods, non-static methods, we can call using the manager 2 reference. Manager 2 task test1. I am calling the test1 method. Now it is default executable method. Main method is executing. The Java command is executing main method. Now there is a calling statement to test1 method. Now it will stop executing the main method execution remaining portion. Then it will go to the test1 method execution. It will go to the test1 method execution. Inside test1 method, first statement is divide by 0. That is a calling statement to another method. So it won't complete the test1 method execution until it will complete the divide by 0 method execution. Then cursor will go to the divide by 0 method execution. System.out.println of n by 0. Here n equal to 10. 10 by 0 is abnormal condition. Due to this abnormal condition, it will stop executing the divide by 0 remaining portion. It will create one exception object. For every abnormal statement, there is one exception which is created in the Java. So this abnormal condition exception object is arithmetic exception. Now the exception object is created by the cursor. The Java command will create the exception object in the divide by 0. That exception object is sending to the caller of the divide by 0 method. The exception object will come to the test1 method. Here the exception object is applied. So this won't execute the system.out.println. Now exception object will come to the here. Due to that exception object, it won't execute the remaining portion. The exception object is delegating to the caller of the test1. Caller of the test1 is main method. Now exception object is come to the main method at the end. Now the main method is the last method, which is default executable method. So the exception object is printing in the console. There is a calling statement to system.out.println that will take care by the Java command. So it won't execute this part. Now we'll get the simply exception object. We won't get all the end statements. Now let's go and see. If you go and see here, we'll get the exception object, arithmetic exception. Now, when the exception happened, inside manager 2, Java statement 17. First exception occurred here. No, not here. Now here. First exception occurred in the 6. Here exception occurred. This exception object is delegating to the 11th statement. You see here logs. Manager 2, Java 11. From here, it won't execute the remaining portion. The object will come and delegate to the statement 17. This is a 17 statement. This is the call stack of the exception. If any exception occurred, error occurred while executing our code. If exception is occurred, that is abnormal condition. In Java, we have for every abnormal condition, we have one object, error object. Error object is created. The error object is delegating to the caller of that method. Who is caller of this divide by 0 method is test1 method. Now test1 caller of the test1 is main method because this is calling this. This is the exception call flow. How exceptions will go from one object to another object, one method to another method, delegating. Now we have seen what is the error, compile time error, what is the runtime error. Runtime error is when we executing the code, if we get any abnormal condition, that is a runtime error. Compile time error means while compiling our code, if we get any error, that is compile time error. Now how to handle that exceptions? We have array of size 6. I just declared and defined array in one statement. Now, int I equal to 0, I less than array dot length. This is valid. I plus plus. Array of I. Now we'll get there is no abnormal condition because we are getting the array elements from 0 to array.length minus 1 because I less than array.length. So if we call it, we'll get output of all the elements. Now, if you give condition as I less than or equal to array.length, it will give error because we try to access the elements from 0 to 5 and I am giving the I less than equal to array.length. Length is 6. So I equal to 6 also it will execute. When you try to go to the I equal to 6, system.println of array of 6, it will give array index out of bounds exception because that is abnormal condition. Now we'll see what is the error. Now we got abnormal condition at the last statement. So how to handle this abnormal condition? Main ended. Now main ended won't come because due to abnormal condition it is stopping execution here only. Now this is very important, how to handle the abnormal conditions. To handle the abnormal condition, we have try-catch in the Java. See that statement which is causing the runtime exception, those statements we have to keep in the try block. Try also one definition block, opening bracket, closing bracket. Whatever statements is causing the abnormal condition, we have to keep the abnormal condition statements in the try block. And the exception which is occurring, we can give that exception object and we can catch that exception object. To get the message of the exception, you can get by using the get message method. Which exception occurred? Inside a catch block, I am just printing this. See, if you handle the exception by using try-catch block, even though if you get the abnormal condition, we are just catching the abnormal condition. We are telling the Java command, just we are catching that, just proceed with the remaining portion and execute the remaining portion also. We'll get the output as this one. Now go and run this. Even though we get the abnormal condition. After this, we got the abnormal condition. That abnormal condition we are handling, like we are catching, we are printing as a e.get message. Here, e.get message is as a 6. So, if you want to get all the error, what error we got, we can have a method e.print stack test. To get the message, we have a method as e.get message, but in this case, message is just a string. Message is just integer 6. Size of the array. Size of the array is 6, though we are getting that. Now we will get the output as the error message with the array index out of bounds exception. Then we will get the main method ended. Now if you see here, we got the error message and main method ended both. Even though if you get any exception, if you want to handle that, handling means we are telling to the Java command execution part, just consider we are just catching that exception, just proceed with the remaining portion of execution. Don't stop executing there, just proceed with the remaining portion of execution. Now let's take another example and handle the exception. We have taken one example. divided by 0. Same example you can take. Quiet test. I'm just calling divide by 0 inside main method. Minus 4 dot test. Now, whenever we execute this class, there is no any static method, so the main method will execute first. Inside the main method, creating object to the manager 4, then we are calling the test method. Inside test method, there is a calling statement to divide by 0. So calling statement will go to the divide by 0 and it will execute first. When it is executing divide by 0, it will go and execute the all statements of divide by 0. Insert this int n equal to 100, int result equal to n by 0. This is abnormal condition, divided by 0. It will throw the arithmetic exception object, it will create object, it will delegate that object to the caller of this. That object will come to the test method. So the same object will come to this statement. Here as this is causing the error because the object will come to here. The same object will delegate to the main method. Where is the caller? Then main method will take care of handling this and printing that object in the console. Then it will stop executing the remaining portion. That is our flow. We go and execute this. Now we got output like this. Now how to handle this? Now we know that divide by 0 is causing the error. So we have to, wherever the statement is causing the error, the statements we have to keep in the try block. Whichever statements if you feel is causing the error, exception. So those statements we have to keep in the try block. And inside the catch block, whichever exception if you feel is causing, we have to catch that exception. Divide by 0 is for the arithmetic exception, so I am catching that exception. I am printing the e.print stack trace. When exception is occurred, I am printing this. Then, even the exception occurs, we are handling this exception. So, the Java runtime environment, it will execute this remaining portion. This will execute. We are handling this exception over here only, so the exception object won't come here. It will execute this part also. It will execute this part also because wherever exception occurred, we are handling using the try-catch block. After handling that exception, the exception object won't come to the caller and it won't delegate to the caller. So we'll get the remaining portion also will execute in this case. Now let's call. See, end of divide by 0, test ended, end of the main method. We got output of all methods. If you are doing any operation after this, it will go and execute that operation. Now this is the exception handling. This is one way of exception handling. Exception handling is, we have a lot of things we have to learn in the exception handling. We'll see, slowly we can learn from tomorrow. You can see in the tomorrow class.
Catch అనేది ఉందా డెఫినిషన్ బ్లాక్